Good morning, Vesta. How are you? Thank you for being here. Hi, Anne. How are you? Okay, just trying to make sure everything is set up right. I want to be able to kind of look straight ahead to read your comments. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Linda and Jasmine. Oh my goodness, Sandy. Good morning, everybody. It's scrolling pretty fast, so I can't keep up with everything. But thank you so much for being here on this beautiful Thursday morning. I am Julie Heights, the chirpy card maker of Quilts and More, and I live in Toledo, Ohio, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I have found that I can combine my two loves of paper crafting and quilting to create little quilts. Quilts that don't take a lot of my time to complete, because the older I get, the shorter my attention span is. I want things done now, not weeks and months from now. I have quilted in the past. I made my first quilt in home ec class in 1980. I did the quilt first, so it would have been 80. And then I graduated in 81, and my first sewing project was my prom dress. So quickly found out clothes are not good for me. There's way too much to learn. But a 1/4 inch seam allowance, straight lines, I can do that. I joined a quilt guild in 1998. I found one here near Toledo, Ohio. And I was a member of that quilt guild for many, many years. I served as president, vice president, hospitality, had a lot of fun, and got to see some amazing, beautiful quilts over those years. So I do have a background in making quilts. It's not just my love of quilts, but I have found that I am much happier making paper quilts. I do miss my fabric. I love walking into a quilt shop and touching all the bolts of fabric, and it does make me miss my machine. It's just hard for me to find the time to bring out that machine and get back to it. So one day. Today's project is a project I did back in 2021, and I did not do PDFs back then. So I wanted to revisit some of those Facebook Lives, kind of bring it into the now so that I can create a PDF to put in the files. Now, on my business page, you won't find a tab that says files. Facebook does not let us do that on our business pages. But I do have a community group, and this is a fantastic group. It's Quilt Cards and More. You can find a link to it from the drop-down menu on the Chirpy page. And there are some questions that I am a stickler that you'll need to answer to request to join. But in that group, there is so much sharing. We have members who are creating patterns and sharing their patterns with you. So if you love quilt cards and I'm not going fast enough for you, which I can't, there's more quilt cards than can be made, even if I was probably doing a Facebook Live, several times a week. So I love that they are taking it upon themselves to look at a pattern, sketch it out, make it, and then they're willing to share that pattern with you. So I hope that you will check out that page, because that is where you will find the PDFs to my Facebook Lives. Okay, so I went back into all my cards, and the two samples or examples that I shared on Wednesday, I do not have any longer. Usually I try to hang on to one card of everything I've made so that I can go back and use them as samples. But those two cards found homes, so I don't have one to show you in person. We're going to revamp that stained glass look, but we're going to do it a little differently. And you'll see what the project turns out to be like. So I'm going to flip the camera around. As I'm doing that, please say good morning to each other and we'll get started. As soon as I can find my camera widget. There we go. I'm just going to move some things around here. I like to have my computer rather handy so that I can see your comments. Now, I'm not a really good multitasker, so sometimes it's difficult for me to keep up and answer your questions in real time, but I do try my best. Now, here's the trick that I need to do so I don't get that. Oh, there it goes. Okay, hold on. Everybody just look away because this is going to get a little tricky here. And I do not want to see this shadow that's on my right. I know what it is. There we go. I need to slide the phone down. I was trying to get rid of that shadow. Now, hopefully I haven't given you so much seasickness that you can't stand to watch any more of the live. These mounts, man, you just get them a little off kilter and it is so hard to get it back to exactly where you had it before. So I think I got it. I just feel like I am in a wonky space here right now. Okay, let's see who's all here. Hey, Lynn. Hi, Linda. And another Linda and Pam. Good morning. Hi, Barb. 2 Barbs right after each other. 2 Lindas after each other. That is so cool. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Betty and Vicky. Okay, so for those of you who may be new, when I do a Facebook Live, I will post on Wednesday some prep, especially if you're wanting to follow along with me. And so what you see in front of you is what I had shared. I'm going to try to zoom in, but not too much. There we go. Okay. This was our prep for today's card. Hi, Becky. Hey, Doris. You got the rest of the gang with you? Hello, Wisconsin. Okay, so now we're going to make the cutting instructions that I'm going to show you. You're going to be cutting 2 card bases and the things to make our quilt block on. So let's get started with, let's get some of this out of the way. Where do I want to put it? We're going to start with this 7-inch by 11-inch piece. I'm using basic black cardstock because with my stained glass, I thought it's a really nice, it really makes my colors pop. So that's why I went with basic black. You do not have to use basic black. That is just me. So we've got a 7-inch by 11-inch piece, and I've got my 7-inch across the top. Okay. We are going to score this at 3.5, which is half a 7. So we're going to score, which means I'm going to use my gray blade, not the cutting blade. And we're going to score this all the way down. Okay, and we'll just put it back up so it gets out of my way. And now we're going to turn the cardstock to the 11-inch side, and we're going to cut it in half at 5.5. So this gives us our 2 card bases. Okay, there's our 2 card bases out of that 7-inch by 11-inch piece of cardstock. Now I'm going to bring in my basic white, which is 6.5 by 5.25. And I'm going to put it across the top of my trimmer on the long side, which is 6.5. And I am going to cut it in half at 3.25. Okay. So now I'm going to use my cutting blade. And I did it again. I did this yesterday, you guys. Well, I'm only going to show one card. We're going to make one, not both. So, there's 3.25. Did I not have this measured right? Oh, I see what I did wrong. Okay. I didn't do 6.5. I did 6.25. Okay, it's 6.5 by 5.25 and cut at 3.25. So I got one that's right. And that's really all I need for today, because we're only going to make the one card. Hi, Judy from North Carolina. Hi, Kathy. Michaeline. Hey, Kelly. All right. So now, you know what is funny? As I go through these steps to make sure that I don't make any goofs while we're going live, and it never fails, I'm going to make a goof. But it worked out. It worked out okay. Now we're going to bring the 5-inch by 10.5 piece of basic black in. Okay. And what I'm going to do is we're going to do some scoring first. So I need to get that cutting blade out of the way. We're going to score at 1 inch. We're going to slide it over to 1 7/8. And then 3 1/8. And at 4. Okay, so I've got these beautiful score lines. Now we're going to turn our cardstock so that the 10.5-inch side is across the top, and we're going to cut it in half at 5.25, and we'll have a panel for each one of our cards. So this is just a way of doing all that scoring and cutting to begin with, so you're not going back, and I think it eliminates some of the cutting and all of that. I don't know, but I just wanted to show you that you can get 2 things done at the same time a little easier. Hey, Julie. I'm glad that you found me. I'm glad that I saw your question before I went live so I could tell you where to look. Okay, so we've got that. Now, let's see. While we've got the trimmer out, let's look at these 2 pieces of DSP that are 7/8 by 6 inches. We're not going to cut these up like we did in the homework with those these other 2 pieces of DSP that I'll talk about. But I chose this pattern right here because I'm going to show you a tip when we get to it. But I don't need these to be 6 inches long. So I am going to cut, I think they need to be 5 1/8. So you just have to decide where you want to take the length off of. So 5 1/8, and I got a couple pieces of scrap here. And I'm going to set those aside because we're not ready for those yet. Another thing that you'll need for the 2 cards is you'll need a 1 1/8 by 3 inch rectangle. You'll need 2 of those. And then let's talk about the homework that I had you do yesterday. So I am using the Full of Life Designer Series paper from Stampin' Up. And I chose it because especially this watercolor rainbow here, a lot of colors together. It's nice and bright. It will really pop on the black, and it just, if I'm trying to achieve a stained glass look, I thought all these colors together would have a really nice effect. And I had cut 2 strips that were 1 inch by 6 inch. The homework was that for each of these, you were going to cut them in 1 inch squares. So you would get 6 1 inch squares out of each one of these strips. Okay? And I'll just cut 1 square to show you, just to walk us through really quickly, because I wanted to save time. And I've already got my pieces cut over here. So we were cutting 1 inch squares, and then I divided those squares up into 2 groups. I kind of wanted a little bit of every color, okay? But then the homework is that you would take those 1 inch squares and you would cut them in half diagonally. Okay, so then you have 2 half square triangles. You are going to save one. Let's say I'm going to save that one. And 1/2 of that square, you are going to cut in half again. Easiest thing to do is put that longest side up against those bumpers to hold it. Make sure your point is in the cutting track and cut it in half again. So that what you would have would be, let's see if I can put it back together. So if you were putting it back together, you would have this. Just to show you what it started out as a square, and then we've got a large triangle and 2 small triangles, just by cutting them in half diagonally, okay? I'm just going to set those aside because I might find that I want to switch a color out and replace it with something else. But you did that with both of those 1 by 6 inch squares. And that'll be enough to do 2 cards, okay? Hopefully, hi Susan from Maine. Hopefully I haven't lost anybody at this point. Okay, I think that's all we need to do right now. Okay, let's keep going. I think you can put that away, you guys. Hi, Tina. Oh, Tina, I gotta do it. I have to do it. Tina and I met outside of the convention center during onstage, and so Tina gets the Barn Quilt Card Kit. And when I was addressing her envelope, I'm like, there is just no way I know how to pronounce her last name. Well, we met, and one of her friends says, it's okay not to be able to pronounce her last name because we call her Tina with a long last name. Tina, you could tell me 100 times over how to pronounce your last name and I would not be able to do it right. So I love addressing Tina as Tina with a long last name. It was such an amazing meeting that we got to have. So hello, Tina. And I hope you didn't mind me sharing that story. It's out now. So let's get back to our card. So let's take one of our card bases. Let's fold it in half on that score line. Let's burnish it. Okay, so there's our card base. We have a card insert that you'll glue to the inside. And if you are going to do any stamping on the inside, stamp first and then adhere it to the inside. That way, if you have to do it over, it's not glued down already. Okay, so there's our card base. And now I'm going to take in, let's bring in one of our panels. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to do some folding. So these two outside score lines, they're going to get folded. We're just going to like fold back onto this to create a valley fold. Okay, so we have a valley fold. And then what I do is for the center, I just fold that score line underneath, fold this one underneath. And by now, some of you have said, I know what we're doing. And that's okay. Yes, I am jumping on the bandwagon. Okay. But my reason for doing this fun fold isn't because of Easter. I just have somebody very close to me going through a really rough time, and I want to send a card to just keep them focused on their faith and the power that they can get through. Okay, so it's going to look something like this. Those of you who have done this know what I'm doing, but it pops up like this. Okay, I just want to show you my quilted version of this fun fold. Kelly, you missed the 7 by 11. Okay, so you're going to score, you're going to put the 7-inch side across the top. You're going to score it in half at 3.5. Then you're going to turn it sideways to the 11-inch and cut it in half at 5.5. Okay? So, oh, and Melinda's catching us for her first time live. Yay! Well, you've been initiated when I do something, when I have an oopsie. So this is our pop-up, okay? This is actually going to eventually make it to the front of our card base like this, okay? But let's work on our quilted version of this fun fold. So here are my large triangles that I had when I cut up those 1-inch by 6-inch strips, and here's my little collection of the small triangles. Now, oh, and we need that 1 1/8 by 3-inch piece. I'm going to flip this over to work on it. And you know what? I don't think I'm going to do that first. We are going to be working on this center panel right here. Okay, the center panel. And we're going to work our way from the bottom up, but we're going to leave a space towards the top. So don't get ahead of me and just start stacking everything up there, because I'll tell you, you can't make it fit perfectly. But we're going to cover up that area that is left blank. That's why we're going to start at the bottom. We're going to do 3 squares, and then we're going to start at the top and do a square. And whatever gap you have in the middle, that's okay. So I'm going to start with a large triangle. And working down here at the bottom, you can decide what corner you want to put it in. I've picked it up like this, so it's just going to be natural for me to put this in the lower right-hand corner. And I am going to leave about 1/8 of an inch from the score line and from the bottom. and I am not going to push it down really hard yet. Just like that. Okay, I think for this part, let's zoom in a little bit more. Okay. Hey, Peggy. Hi, Sharon. Okay. Now to finish the square, I'm going to go with 2 of the smaller triangles, and I want to mix it up. I don't want everything to be pink. I want my glass to have all different colors. So I'm going to take a green, and I think I'll take an orange. Now remember, this is going to fill in. Here's something to keep in mind. The longest side of your triangle is always going to face outwards. So when it feels like it's a little crazy trying to make these pieces fit, look for that longest side and know that it's going to either go to the side or it's going to go up. Okay? Just know that it's always on the outside. So we'll put a little bit of glue here, keeping my outside, my longest line to the outside. I'm going to come down and I'm purposely leaving some separation between my triangles. I'd say it's up to you how much of a gap you want, but we are limited with that score line on either side of that panel. So now I'm going to bring in this one, and I'm just going to finish the puzzle right here. Now the one thing I do want to make sure is that I'm straight, because we're going to be building on top of these. So there is my first square that I put back together. Now what I want to do, and you can do this, you can keep the same pattern all the way up. That is totally up to you. You know me, I like to just kind of switch things around. So I am going to, I'm going to put my triangle over to the left. Here I started on the right. I'm going to put it over to the left. I don't know if I want 2 oranges together. And there was pinks in that one. So I'm going to go with this green. And it is going to go just like that. And we're just going to keep working our way up. But only for 3 squares. So the stained glass look that I did in 2021, we used squares, but we cut like four different shapes, like rectangles and squares out of one. And I do believe, remembering that they were very tiny pieces. And here I'm trying to keep these pieces of a size that's manageable for your hands. Let's do... I'm not gonna overthink this. If I do, we could be here all day. So you can plan this out if you want, or you can leave it random and just work along here. You're just trying to concentrate on even spacing and keeping it straight across the top. And let's do this one over here. This designer series paper is so colorful. It's really, really rather perfect for this. Okay, so there's that one. Let's bring in, nope, I don't want that one. Let's bring in this one. Remember, your longest side will be to the outside of your square. Clean up that little bit of glue. And I want to change, there we go, oops. Okay, I like that better. Okay, now we're at the third one. We're gonna skip, because I had said that you're not gonna get 5 of these on there. You're only gonna get 4. Which is fine because we're going to cover up the space that we leave up there. So now I am going to just come up here at the top and do this one. Okay, that looks pretty good. And we'll put this one right here. I think I want to move this triangle down just a little bit. Okay, and then I need one more. I'm going to steal one of those oranges from when I was showing you how I was cutting. Okay, that looks a little big. I'm going to throw that one away. I think I have this one over too far. Sorry about that, you guys. And also, some of these little triangles are going to get covered up with our sentiment. So, you know, if you do find that something isn't really perfect, like this is not, I wouldn't be happy with this if it was in any other place. But I know that this space here is going to get taken up. So if you have a triangle that's a little bit longer, what I needed to do is I should have started this farther back. But because this triangle is a little longer than it should be, I'm not going to worry about it because this is a space that's going to get taken up by another part of our card. So don't fret too much, okay? And then we're going to work on our crossbar here. And, wow, out of my 2 triangles that are left, guess what? They're the same color. And that's okay. Unless, I think I might have brushed one off. There should be 3 left, and there is, but they're all the same color. Imagine that. That's okay, because I think I'm going to use these 2 oranges. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my triangles in the outer corners like this, so that I have this valley that I'm creating. You do it however you want. I'll show you here in a bit why I had that thought process. Again, keeping about 1/8 of an inch. And I'm hoping that for some of you, this might be the first time you've done this card. But for others, I know for a fact, because I've seen their work already, that they've done it. I am not the first, but I am definitely glad that I didn't let the opportunity go by to show you our quilter's version of it. While I am sad that my loved one is going through a tough time right now, this is also, yeah, okay. So we got to fill in our squares. So let's put this one across the top. This also is going to have a gap in the middle, but it's okay because, again, it's going to get covered up. And let's use a more pink. Okay, longest side to the outside, Julie. Again, if it's not perfect, there is a way to disguise the imperfection. Okay, one more piece, and we will have our stained glass done. This I've got a lot of orange and pink, but it's the triangles that I have left. Unless I go into my stash, because I've made so many of these cards, I wanted to have some like examples to show you. You know what? I think I'm going to bring in this green. I'm just going to take some of this glue from the one I picked up. Guess what's sticking to me and doesn't want to come off? Okay. I'm going to put this green one in here. Again, it's not perfect. It's okay. I do want to try and get that a little wider. There we go. Okay, so I have extras over there. So remember when I said I put these as a valley? Here was my thinking. So when I go to put my crossbar on here, do you... let's see. Wait a minute. Maybe no, this one. What did I do differently? In one of my cards, I was able to get this beautiful X, but you can't see it now. But I was trying to get my pane totally lined up, but it's not going to work. So don't overthink it. But I did do one card where I got my pane. Oh, it's because maybe I put I don't know. I don't know why I didn't get a total square and a square there. But on one of my cards, I did. So, oh my goodness, I forgot to zoom back out. Okay. Anyway. Oh, Melinda, I'm so glad that you like it. Hi, Susan. Susan's first time. Welcome. And Tina, this is the first time for you. Yay. Hi, Betty. Okay. So now I am going to, let's get a little smaller here because we're going to be putting our card together. Okay. Before we do all that, remember these two pieces that I cut? These are going to be our side panels. Looks really cool, right? But man, that white just does not go with what we're doing. Totally makes it look like it's not consistent. So I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Right marker. I'm going to use my brush tip. And I'm going to go over those white lines to make it look like these were part of a pan, that we set these in also. And we didn't even have to cut these. Just using the side of my brush tip. And now it will look like these were all set in also. And it'll look like stained glass too. I wanted to use my blends, but my black blends are dried up because I guess I didn't use them quick enough. But I'm just going to finish that. So that's a little tip that I wanted to show you, so that when we bring our panel in, then it looks like the stained glass that we're doing down here. Okay, just the white just wasn't going, you know, it wasn't going to work. So we can go ahead and we can glue these down. You know what? Oh no, I do have to put that there, I think. Yeah, it's okay. You know, I'm overthinking it, looking like, oh no, I got greens together, and I'm just gonna knock it off. I think that's just the color part of us, or for artists or quilters, you're always looking at what colors you have next to each other. But see how cool that is? And then with our crossbar sitting on top, yeah, I did get some greens together. Maybe we'll do this. Maybe I'll turn it around. Bring that down. And then that breaks up the greens. So I think I'll just do it the other way. We always have options. Okay, before I do any of this, we need to do our quilting. And here's what I want to show you. The large embossing folders will fit both these pieces. Now I'm using the swirl one. I've got some samples to show you where I use the dotted one. And I'm just going to lay this in here like this. I'm going to lay this one in here. Kind of wanting my swirls to go the same way. And I will do all my quilting at once. If you don't have one of the large embossing folders, that's okay. Do what I would do with the smaller one. Let me show you an example. Let me find a small embossing folder. What I would do is I would maybe put part of this in, and I think you could still get, you could get this and this in. Now, here's the thing. You're going to have to turn your embossing folder this way when you put it in. It shouldn't be too hard to run through as long as your seam is on the side. Air still gets through, and I didn't feel a lot of resistance. And then you would take it out. You would turn this around, and you would emboss whatever side wasn't emboss and run it through there again. So that's how you would do a small embossing folder. Okay, so I am going to take this over to my machine. And do this really quick. Okay, let's see what it looks like. Oh, I love the movement. And I think because we had already scored our panel, I don't have anything cracking. So there's, whoops, the first one needs to go up at the top. So there's our quilting. It gives us some texture. So it's going to go like this. So let's bring in our card base. And what I want to do is I really kind of want to work how this folds. And I want, this is what I want to see on the front of my card base. Is I'm going to, when this folds flat into the envelope, I want this folding to the right, because when you've got the crossbar on here, if you want to open up this card to, let's say, write something on the inside, this bar isn't obstructed by like your table surface, and you can't open the card all the way. So I'm okay with it shifting to the right so that this, okay, so like if, let's say if I shifted it to the left and this long part was sticking out over here, when I go to open this card to write in it, this hits my table surface and I can't open the card all the way. So that's why I am going over to the right. So glue is going to get put on these two outside panels. I'm going to do one at a time. And I'm looking to leave a nice even border. Okay. I'm going to shift this. Going to shift it over here to the right. Fold this back. Put some glue on it. And fold that and just press that down. Now my pop-up, you can just play with it. I love that there's texture on that blank side of my card. And then what I can do is put some glue there. And when I put this down, this side here should almost, you know, kind of meet there. So just eyeball it. Again, I'm not going to overthink this because I've got a sentiment to put on here yet. And it's going to cover up all this that's going on in the center that didn't line up the way that my mind's eye thought it should. Okay, so there's our stained glass cross. And then there's a stamp set. It's retiring, but everybody, I believe, should have this in their stamp collection. But it's Courage and Faith. And the the Psalms 27:14 that really spoke to me and for my loved one is be of good courage. So that is the sentiment that I'm going to use. I've already got it. I stamped it on basic white, and I used the 1 3/4 punch to punch it out, and then the 2-inch punch for my black. So no die cutting on this one, just stamp and punch. But I'm going to pop it up with black dimensionals. The only ones I have right now are these little tiny ones, but I'm going to put these down on my crossbar here. And then I'm going to pop up the sentiment. With these, you could embellish. I didn't even embellish these cards. I just went really simple. Okay, I'm going to hold this up so that I can get this as straight as I can. You know me, it's a wonky, means I did it right. So there is my pop-up cross, just kind of like the quilter's version, where we got to add some texture and some, just revisit that, the stained glass method from back in 2021. So the embossing folder is the swirls, and it carried over, so you can, it's current now, and it is going to be in the new catalog also, but it's the large swirl. And it does match my bracelet. No, Soft Waves is a smaller, is a 6x6. Jan, that is, it's a smaller folder. I have that one too. But this is the swirls. It's a large embossing folder. I'm glad that you like it. I just wanted to do my own thing. And I think it's really going to touch the person that needs this card in their hands. So what I want to show you is some other ones that I did, okay? So this is a card. Now see, now when you put the weight of your insert in here, and you know me, I always put some cards, designer series paper on the back of mine. This, because this can open, it balanced my card, and my cross wasn't falling forward. I've kind of gotten bits and pieces that the cards want to tip forward. Having this here as a brace, this card, helps keep it standing upright. Okay, but I thought, what if we did an easel card? So, is this my easel? It is. So my card base is a 3.5 by 11, scored at 5.5, and scored at 2 3/4. Now I did put an extra, I did put a full-size backing, just like the front of the card, on here to support my pop-up cross. But here I did an easel. I hope you can see that well. And now my cross does look like it's tipped back, but it's supported. Okay, so there's an easel. Now in the PDF, I do have quick instructions on how to do an easel card instead of your portrait open card. But you can do an easel. And then, and look at, this is the, look at the quilting on this. This is the dots one. Isn't that so cool? So that's that large embossing folder with the circle dots. So I use that one on there. And again, see my stopper here? The Designer Series paper, this is white. I just used my marker to color the white black so that it looked, you know, a lot better. Here is one that I did, and instead of the blue and the blue greens, this is another sheet that had the pinks and the reds, and it had like a lot of color. And notice these are just half square triangles. If you want to pull in more color, cut one of these half square triangles in half again. But here's just two full-size triangles. So it's whatever you want to do. So there's that one. And this one has the, can't remember what this embossing folder is called. But anyway, it's one of the small ones that I showed you. And then also here, more subtle colors. Not so much your brights. It's all from the same paper pack, but these are just a little bit more muted colors, and I did a solid color on the sides just to give it a different feel. So there's my take on the pop-up cross, and we'll just sneak this one that we did today maybe like that so that you can see it. Okay, and these do fold flat so that you can mail them in our regular envelopes. Okay, so there's no embellishing. You could still put some gems in there, but that is my take on the pop-up cross card. And I'm hoping that it's not, this pop-up isn't seen just at Easter time. I think that this can be used year-round. I think pretty colors like this would be good for, even for a sympathy card. Yeah, I think that it's something that you can keep in your idea book for any time of the year. So maybe even at Christmas time, if these were done in reds and greens and you had a wreath of some kind in the center, that, you know, like I said, carry it throughout the year. Okay? Thank you, everybody, for enjoying this. And I have some to give away. So, if you just want to put in the comments stained glass cross, then I'll give some of these away, okay? So stained glass cross in the comments. I still have some more over here, and I've got pieces to do a couple more. So, yeah, we've got some to give away. And maybe you can pass it on to someone that you know could use some encouragement, okay? So thank you again for being here. I hope that you give this a try. I hope that you share the stained glass version of your crosses over in the group Quilt Cards and More. And I look forward to checking those out after lunch and throughout the weekend. I do have a PDF ready, and so I just want to go through it one more time and make sure that I didn't forget anything. That you will get yet today, this afternoon. Okay, I just want to read through it one more time to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So everybody have a blessed day, and I will be checking your cards out here, like I said, after lunch. So thank you for being here, and we will be talking with you soon.